I'm Joseph and I'm a youth mentor at Easton High School, currently doing some street-based work as well at St Mellons, Llanrumney and Trowbridge. Today I've got Lucy Evans with me, who is a student mental health nurse at Cardiff University. Hi Lucy.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, good, thank you. Today we're going to be doing a Q&A on mental health, just a general quick fire 8 or 9 questions and see how we get on. So if I start us off, what do you think will help young people and people like myself comfortable coming out of lockdown?
I think probably the key is not doing things that make you uncomfortable, not forcing yourself to do a certain amount of things every day, and like you're not going to go straight back to normal straight away. So just taking it really gradually would be a key. And I think also talking to people about how you're feeling, because it's almost guaranteed that they're going to be feeling the exact same way as you, and as soon as you talk to them, then you'll realize your thoughts are very valid, they're very understandable, and you can just learn to feel those feelings and move forward from there. And like things, if you feel anxious about going out for a walk or something, asking someone that you know to go with you, like if it's to a shop or something like that, then that might really help you, because they'll bring a sense of familiarity and comfort to you. So yeah, just little things like that, I think, taking it gradual.
Yeah, I think as well, because we've been in lockdown for so long, I think a lot of young people will be feeling a bit anxious about going outside, and even members of staff and adults and stuff will be in the same boat. I think school coming back has been a major help, and youth workers at the minute are going back out and doing some street-based work, so we'll have a chance to speak to some of these young people about how they're feeling. I think with the recovery stage, I think that's very important, that with us going back out and trying to chat to some of these young people to see what they've been getting up to over lockdown, how they're feeling, are they anxious of going back to school in September. You mentioned there about talking to people, which probably leads me on to my next question, is how important is it to actually talk about your experiences of lockdown to each other? Because I was in a meeting the other day of Recovery of Cardiff, and like we've all been on this sort of boat together, sailing on the same journey, but we've all got our different stories.
Yeah, I think it's very important, and not just now, like always, is probably a key to dealing with mental health issues. It's just talking to someone, and it doesn't have to be a professional if you don't want it to be. It's just that catching up with a friend and making sure that they're okay, making sure you're okay. So yeah, definitely talking about our experiences, because this is something that all of us are going through at the exact same time. It's new and unusual for everyone, so keep talking, and yeah, even after this is over, take something from it. That it's always good to chat about how you're feeling. If it's occupying your mind or negatively impacting your life, then it's worth lifting that burden and just telling someone how you're feeling, because as soon as you tell them, even if they can't give you answers, then you will feel better.
Yeah, 100%. So what things would you suggest to to anyone, but young people, about having negative and worrying thoughts?
I think it's just realizing that you're not the only one feeling those thoughts at the moment. It's very normal to feel those thoughts, and if you're having an off day, it's good to recognize that and not try and like block it out and just carry on with your day and get everything done and just ignore it, because odds are you're not gonna get over that feeling as quick. You do need to sort of deal with it, recognize it, and realize it's normal. But I think maybe something that could help, or it helps me at least, is writing down your thoughts, because sometimes you can have so many thoughts in your head that it just is so hard to unravel and go through them and help yourself, because you don't know where to start. Whereas where you write them down, like when you write them down, you can see like, well, this is making me anxious, this is worrying me, and you can maybe see what you can sort out and what you can't, and the things that you can't, hopefully you'll stop worrying about them, because if you can't change them or control them, then try and let them go. And I think writing those things down really helps.
Yeah, to be fair, I think that's one thing that I've started doing because I've started a new job during lockdown. So when I was a teaching assistant, I didn't really have to worry about doing stuff outside of work. And if I had something to do, I would probably just do it there and then. Like, it wouldn't be like someone would tell me to do something and I'd have to go and try and find that or whatever. But with this job, I feel as if like I've got to do a lot of things in one day, and having that list of writing things down and planning my day and then ticking them off one by one is stopping me from worrying and getting overstressed about things that I shouldn't do. Because when I first started, I was obviously wanting to make an impression, trying to make an impression, and I was trying to do 1,000,001 things at once, and without having a list, I was just getting lost in some things I was doing. Where now I'm a little bit more organised. I've never been the most organised person in the world, but I can say I'm getting a bit better at it. But yeah, I definitely agree with trying to list things and getting some normality back into like a structure in your day is definitely a way forward.
Yeah, and I think as well as writing down your negative thoughts, you can write down things that you might want to do that day, because when your brain's foggy from worrying or being anxious, then it's hard to get anything done, and then it's a sort of a vicious cycle of then feeling worse because you haven't done anything. So I think setting some sort of routine by writing things down, a simple routine would be like beneficial in that case, and also just making sure you do first of all recognize what things relaxes you, because that can be different for everyone, but then making sure that you do one or two of those things every day. So it can be like reading or talking to a friend or exercising or eating a certain food or whatever, some of the simple things that people talk about, just making sure you do them.
Yeah, I think as well with lockdown, that's the one thing that we haven't really been able to have, is that structure in our day to help us, the thing that keeps us sane every day. So hopefully with things getting eased over the next couple of months, things will start becoming a bit more structured and we won't be seeing changes every day. Because for a while with the lockdown easing and some of the rules and stuff, I wasn't quite sure what I was allowed to do, and with the UK government doing one thing and then the Welsh government doing another thing, it was obviously quite hard. But yeah, I definitely agree. Having a structure in a day does help with your mental health, should I say?
Yeah.
So could you talk to me a little bit about confidentiality and what that means? Because young people, I feel, sometimes are a bit afraid to talk about how they're feeling. So if they were to get into contact with a mental health agency or hospital or GP, could you just give us a little bit of an insight on what confidentiality is?
Yeah, so I think it's quite a simple thing, really. It's just like confidentiality means that whatever you discuss with a professional will be confidential, and they won't discuss it with anyone else. And obviously, unless they think that you're at risk to yourself or to others, then they might have to discuss it with someone else to seek you help. But most of the time, it is completely confidential. And I think especially with young people, when you're talking to a mental health professional, they might worry that person's going to go and tell their mum or their dad or their teacher, and it's not confidential. But that's not right. Like, that's not how it is. It is. It stays in that room. It is a safe space, and you want to be able to relax and say everything that you want to say, because that's the only way that you're going to feel better from it. And I think having people know that that is a safe space and that what they say isn't going to go anywhere is really important, because that's what's going to aid your recovery and just help with letting go of your thoughts.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that'll be the most important part of post-lockdown, should we say, is the chance to get to speak to youth workers, teachers, GPs, nurses, doctors, whatever, because yeah, that safe space is crucial to a young person's mental health, and the fact that it is confidential and letting them speak and try and seek out the help that they need is definitely a step forward.
Yeah.
So lots of young people feel like it takes getting to crisis point before they can get all the information about what support is available. What would you have to say about that?
I understand how people might think that, especially if you've never been involved in mental health services before, then you might have no clue about how to get the support you need. But it's not true, you know, you don't need to get to crisis point to get help. And if anything, I think that's a key to dealing with mental health issues is talking and seeking support early on. I probably would say talking to your GP would be the best baseline and place to start. If you feel like okay to do that, if that overwhelms you or scares you, then maybe talking to a family member for them to contact your GP on your behalf, or maybe go with you to the appointment, and that might really help, because then they can be there to tell the GP how you are as well, because sometimes you don't realise how bad you are, and maybe the people around you can see it more, and you might just know that you're not happy and you need help. So involving your family or your friends or whoever you counsel with is really helpful. But also sometimes you might not want to talk to a GP, you might just want to have a chat, and there are phone lines and places that you can go to do that. So like Samaritans, I know everyone talks about Samaritans, that they're a good place to go, and they are, you know, it's such an easy way to like lift your thoughts and let go of your thoughts and talk things through. And yeah, sometimes that might be all you need. And I think maybe people don't contact those phone numbers because they think, oh, I'm not bad enough, and you know, I shouldn't have to contact Samaritans to talk about my problems, but they're there for. So I definitely would say that would be a good place to start, as well as your GP or anyone you know, really. I think.
Yeah, I just like to add.
Sometimes you might not.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, go on.
I'd just like to add, like, that youth workers and teachers, especially at this stage, with schools being back open, is definitely a start as well. If you're not confident on going to speak to a GP or whatever, is to go and seek help from a close teacher or a youth worker, because they are definitely there to help you. And especially we've been on social media quite a bit recently. So if you ever needed someone to speak to, I would definitely encourage you to go onto Facebook and speak to a youth worker, or even with going back to school, speaking to teachers. But yeah, what Lucy said is very important. If you are feeling down and other people are seeing it, then a phone call to the GP would definitely help. Yeah,
I think also you might not know who to talk to. You might think that there's no one around, but yeah, as you say, like you being a youth mentor, that's one of the reasons you're there, is to talk to people, to make sure that they're okay, to guide them. And yeah, people might not think at first to talk to you or to talk to a teacher, but that's what, you know, you're there for, and there'll always be someone in your life that will want to listen, and it can be someone quite random. It doesn't have to be like an obvious friend you haven't spoken to in ages, you know, a colleague, yeah, anyone. There'll always be someone there.
Definitely. Well, since lockdown, I've been ringing my mum if I was feeling a little bit down, and she usually makes me feel a bit rosier after our phone calls. During lockdown, me and a couple of others have been doing a health and fitness project. What are your thoughts around keeping a healthy lifestyle and keeping active on your mental health? Is it a cliche, or do you believe that, yeah, it is a useful tool in helping your mental health maintain healthy?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely believe that a routine and a healthy lifestyle is a key part to keeping your mental health well. And I think a lot of people realise the benefits that can be had from it, and they think, oh, that run isn't going to sort me out, or, you know, eating healthier isn't going to solve my problems. But it's just the idea that changing small parts of your life to benefit you physically will then benefit you mentally as well. And I think some parts of the traditional healthy lifestyle can put some people off. Like if you don't generally like exercise, then you might be put off and you might not want to try anything at all. But it doesn't have to be a really long, intense run. It doesn't have to be like heavy weights. You can just get outside and go for a walk, and you'll feel like a big benefit just from that. And it can be your sleep. Like if you don't get enough sleep at night, making an effort to like go to bed earlier, or I don't know, just making sure you have a certain amount of hours in the night, that'll really make a change in your life. And it's just these small things that you might not believe will benefit you. They will, because the more you do them, the more your body will feel better, the more energy you'll have, and then the better you'll be able to cope with things. So it's just changing small parts of your life, and you'll feel the benefits in all of this.
Yeah, I think that especially in the last 3 or 4 months, I think sleep has been a big factor, because there's no routine. So people have just been, you haven't really got anything to get up for in the morning. I know things are going back to normal now, but yeah, definitely trying to get back into a routine and trying to get that sleep and a good sleeping pattern back would be a good positive start to post-lockdown, should we say. As well, if there's one positive thing that we can come out of lockdown, is that I've found across Cardiff many people have been keeping healthy and active, which is great to see, and lots of schools across Cardiff, you've been using social media and getting some great content across, which has been great to see. But yeah, I can't stress enough how I feel sport is important for your mental health, and even if it is just a small walk every day, or challenging yourself to do these 5Ks and 10Ks people have been doing, I think it's a great start. But leading on to what I've just said about social media, what are your thoughts about social media and mental health? Because obviously we've spoken about the good things that have come from it, and the way that young people have been able to talk to youth workers and other people across the city, and obviously getting the content across with keeping active, and there's been quizzes and all sorts going on with people having meetings with teams and Zoom meetings and whatnot. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely can see the pros and cons to social media, and it's a case of finding that balance. And I'm probably not the best person always to keep about that, because sometimes I'll go on social media way too much, and then I'll realize that it's affecting my mental health a little bit. But I think in lockdown we've had way more time to be on social media, and that's been something that has affected everyone's thoughts, because there's a lot of information to take in. There's been some big things happening online that you might feel like you want to get involved in, or you might not know what to say, and there's just been a lot going on, and if you're always on it and you're always watching it, then you can become overwhelmed very quickly, and you can neglect the rest of your life. So it's just recognizing those signs, like when you do feel tired when you're on social media, then I know it's really hard, but just don't go on your phone for an hour or two. Like watch something on Netflix, concentrate on a story or a film or something like that. Go and read a book. Just go like for a walk, just to take a break, and so you do something in the now rather than living your whole life on social media. So I can definitely see the pros and cons. You can meet up with people and you can connect with people, but then also if you don't feel like you're connecting with them, if you just feel like you're scrolling and it's a bit mindless, then recognize that and try and take a break from it.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I mean, I can't stress enough how good social media has been for the last 3 or 4 months in terms of content, as I've said, but I think it does have a lot of cons, and especially with the world how it is at the minute, with the change every day, you can just get into that zone of just looking on Twitter, looking at the news and just seeing can we say the carnage that's been unfolding over the last 3 or 4 months, really. But yeah, I've made a conscious effort to just, because when I was at Llynisia, and obviously I was working in the school every day, and I was wanted to know what was going on, and I was just refreshing my Twitter feed every 5 minutes to see if the schools were closed, making sure that I was in at a certain time when Boris Johnson was talking about what was happening with lockdown. And I think after about 2 or 3 weeks of that, I was just like, right, I'm not going to listen to anything in the news anymore. It's just put me down, and that's probably why I was getting confused with the with the rules, because I wasn't really reading into it much. But yeah, I think definitely think people can just overthink things and look into things. So yeah, I think a useful tool for my mental health is to not really watch things every day. Maybe just touch base on it once a week and see what's going on. But yeah, I definitely have been though over the last like week or so, because I play cricket. So I've been looking at the what Mark Drakeford's had to say about cricket in Wales. So I've been very happy the last week because he's given us the green light. Talking about, well, coming on to that again about the changes of like with Mark Drakeford and stuff. So we've recently heard about schools are going to be going back to normal in September, and I know a lot of youth workers and teachers that I know are a little bit anxious maybe about going back to work as the normal, should we say. What sort of suggestions would you give to people come September when they're going back? Well, even now with barbers and stuff going back to today, and other pubs and stuff opening outside, what sorts of suggestions would you give for young people, for workers going back to work?
I think like this is new for all of us, and it's something none of us have experienced before, so we're all in the boat. So I think that can benefit us in some way, but also to be considerate of everyone, because some people might find going to a pub really worrying and they might get really anxious about that, and some people might not at all. So I think being considerate of everyone around you is going to be a key to having a smooth transition back into your normal life, and also recognizing that it's not going to go completely back to normal straight away. It is going to be a gradual process. I think also recognizing what makes you anxious will be helpful, because you'll be able to work within your limits then, and slowly, step by step, get back to your normal routine, but at your own pace. But yeah, I mean, I can't say too much because I'm in the exact same boat as everyone else, but I think that's something that's going to help us, because we can just all talk to each other and see how we're feeling, and yeah, just constantly assess the situation, really.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the one thing that we've come out of this is that of this Q&A is that it is really important that we talk to each other, especially going back to schools and stuff. I think it is going to be different, and people are going to have their going to be anxious. So I definitely suggest talking to people and tell them how you feel, because people haven't done like a normal working day probably in so long. They don't even know like what it's like.
Yeah.
Really. I can't even imagine doing a normal working day really without being at the comfort of my own sofa or bed.
I know, we're gonna be tired 24/7 again.
To be fair, I can't wait to go back to work and finish at 4 o'clock and go back to having my 4 till half 4 naps. I still really enjoy that.
Yeah.
So how has it been then, working through lockdown as a mental health nurse? Has it been challenging? Has it been fun?
Yeah, well, I'm a student, so yeah, I'm not qualified yet, but it's been interesting. It's been a good learning curve, and yeah, I mean, I don't know whether fun is the word, but it's been something that's definitely changed me, and I've taken a lot from it, and I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the experience, and yeah, I think being, when they were clapping for the NHS and stuff, being a part of that has felt great. So yeah, it's definitely been a learning curve.
Yeah, and I think I talk for many people across the world, and that we're so thankful for the NHS and what they've done through this 3 or 4 month period, and even more so, decades, should we say. But yeah, I'd just like to thank you as well for the hard work that you've done across the last 3 or 4 months, and thank you for taking your time out of your day today to do this Q&A.
No problem. Thanks for asking me.
No problem. Right. Thank you and have a great day.